What's going on, guys? It's your homeboy Jojo Kaiser here. I'm back with another storytime video for you guys today. Hopefully, you all are having yourselves a fantastic day. I know I am. And in today's storytime, I'm going to be talking about how a spoiled little brat back in 11th grade tried to get me in trouble for something that I didn't do, and it instantly backfired. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this wonderful storytime. I know it's going to be a little bit interesting. And without further ado, let's get on with today's storytime. So today's storytime, like I just said, took place back in 11th grade. I'm just doing my daily morning routine. I get up, take a shower, brush my teeth, eat breakfast, put on clothes, and just the overall routine that I constantly do. You guys know how it is at this point. So anyways, I get to school, I sit down, talk with my friends before first period starts, just the overall daily routine as a high schooler. So fast forward, a few periods later, it's lunchtime, I get my food, sit down by a little table, I talk with my friends, and we're just chilling, hanging out and whatnot, nothing too weird is happening so far. And then in comes a certain person who, let's be honest, is a little spoiled little brat, right? He was the type of person that would constantly brag about not being able to do his own work and that he has someone doing his own work. He would be constantly rude towards people. Just basically a little pile of garbage. That's how I'm going to describe the person of this story. So anyways, right? I'm sitting there, this guy walks in, sits down with us. And for the sake of the story time, I'm gonna name this person Kyle, because let's be honest, he is acting like a Kyle. Like, if you know, you know. So anyways, Kyle sits down next to me and he asked me if I can help him out with this essay and, basically do the entire essay for him. And to give you guys a little bit of context, there was a midterm essay assignment that we had to do for one of our classes. And, I already did mine because, your boy wants to get some really good grades. And he wanted me to do basically his entire essay for him. And I was like, nah, man, I really don't want to do that. I don't want to potentially get in trouble for something that I did, by helping you out, basically doing your entire essay for him. So, yeah, sorry, can't do that. And there's something that I want to keep in mind, right? It's not like I was friends with this guy. Like, he was a friend of a friend that I didn't really like that much, if that makes sense. Like, before this entire story, I didn't necessarily hate the guy that much. But, after today's story, like, you're gonna find out why I no longer want to talk to him ever again. So anyways, long story short, Kyle asked me if I could do the essay for him. I basically say no in, like, the nicest way possible. And then he gets up, gives me a really smug look, and is like, yeah, alright. And then he walks away. So now I'm sitting there with a really confused look on my face, being like, okay. And then one of my other friends at the table I was sitting at leans over to me and is like, so what was Kyle talking to you about? And I was like, oh, he wanted me to do this essay that's, due tomorrow. And I was like, nah, not doing it because I don't want to get in trouble. And so my other friend was like, yeah, okay, makes sense. Now, one particular piece of detail that I forgot to mention is that this particular essay, which by the way is a midterm essay that we needed to do for one of our classes, it was actually due the very next day. So the fact that you're being a lazy pile of garbage, asking people to do essays for you that is literally due the next day, really shows the type of person you are. Plus, on top of that, again, he was the type of person that would constantly brag about, other people doing his own work for him and, being just a lazy pile of garbage. So yeah, needless to say, he wasn't really a nice person. So anyways, right, school ends, I get home, just playing video games, doing homework, just, the normal teenager type of stuff that people usually do, right, as a teenager, right? And then around 7-something at night, I receive a random DM on Twitter of Kyle asking me once again if I can do his essay for him that's due tomorrow. And I'm sitting there looking at the message on Twitter being like, oh my god, is this guy serious right now? He would constantly brag about having his own tutor, and you're asking a random student that you don't really hang out with if, he could do your entire essay for you. Like, why? You have a tutor. Why can't you just ask your tutor to, at the very least, help you with this essay that, once again, is due the very next day, right? So I text him back with all of this, piece of information, thinking that it makes complete sense because, it's common sense. Like, why would you ask a random person that you don't really hang out with to do your own essay? Like, why? That just makes no sense, right? But apparently, this guy doesn't have enough brain cells and thinks that, and he doesn't like the word no being told to him because he sends me another message being like, well, my tutor isn't necessarily with me right now. Like, he's sick. I don't think he's going to help me with this, essay. I really want you to do this essay for me because I think we could be, friends. And so I'm sitting there like, hold up. He barely even talks to me. We barely hang out with each other. Like, why? Why do you want to be friends with somebody that you don't like? So anyways, I sent him another message being like, look, I'm sorry. Like, I really wish I could help you, but I already have stuff that I got to do for school as well. And, once again, I don't want to get in trouble for doing your own essay, like for doing the essay for you, right? Because, again, I don't want to get in trouble. Like, it's not that hard. Like, the midterm essay itself is not hard. And I was being 100% honest. It wasn't hard. In fact, I think it was one of the most easiest essays any person can possibly write at that particular moment. But I guess not to Kyle. No, no, no. So then Kyle was like, yeah, you know what? Whatever. I don't need your help. You're worthless. So then he stops messaging me and he actually blocks me on Twitter right afterwards, like 5 minutes later. I'm thinking to myself, okay, Kyle. Like, I'm sorry. At that point, you're just being a total dickhead. Because if you're going to be rude towards somebody that you want them to do your essay for, at least be nice to the person. Like, keep in mind, maybe I would have given him, like, a few ideas here or there as to how he can write his own essay. But no, if you're going to be rude towards me, like, no, I'm not going to help you. Like, call me crazy here, but I think constantly being rude towards people and expecting people to do things for you isn't necessarily a good thing for you to do, right? Because God forbid someone won't help you if you're being rude towards them. And to be honest, this is where the true meat of the story really starts to kick off the very next day. So anyways, it's the very next day, school starts, I do my daily routine, whatnot, I get to school, I sit down with my friends, Kyle walks in, and as he's walking in, he's giving me a really smug look, like, while he's smiling, he's giving me, a really dumb look while he's smiling, and I'm sitting there being like, okay, that's a little bit creepy. Please stop smiling at me like that. And he doesn't say anything to me. He just walks past me, sits down at a completely different table with like his little group of friends, quote unquote friends. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So a few periods go by, it's a particular class. I believe it was English, if I remember 100%. I think it was actually English now that I'm thinking back. So anyways, it's like fourth or fifth period. It's English class. I'm just sitting there minding my own business. I take out my essay, but before I do, Kyle finally comes in like 15 minutes later, like into the class. He's basically late at this point. So anyways, he comes into the class. He sits down like a few rows behind me because, that was his assigned seat. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this is a little bit weird. I don't know why he would come in 15 minutes late. He usually doesn't do that. But you know what? It's fine. There's nothing wrong. So 5 minutes later, the teacher is, calling each student one by one to, represent their essays. And then the teacher eventually gets to me, and so I get up, and as I'm walking over to my teacher, handing in my essay, Kyle stands up in the middle of the classroom and says, "Wait!" And then everyone in the classroom, including me and my teacher, turn their heads back at Kyle in complete shock. And then afterwards, Kyle points at me, and he has the audacity to say that apparently I stole all of his ideas with my essay that I have in my hand, and that I basically plagiarized it in some way, shape, or form. And I'm standing there completely confused, because that's not true. And so I tell Kyle, no I didn't. What are you talking about? And he says that apparently I stole all of his ideas last night when I was talking to him, and then he has proof that I did it, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Kyle, what are you talking about? You asked me if I could do your essay for you, and I basically told you no because I didn't want to get in trouble. What are you talking about? So anyways, we're going back and forth. The teacher at that point is like, that's it. Both of you go to the main office. And I'm like, what am I doing? And then the teacher says, look, you guys are obviously shouting at each other. If what Kyle is saying is true and you did steal all of his ideas and basically plagiarize his entire essay, you might get in a lot of trouble. I'm like, but I didn't. And then the teacher was like, yeah, but still, I think you two should go to the main office and, speak to the principal about this. So basically, I'm getting sent to the main office because Kyle thinks that he's going to get away with this, right? Just because I wouldn't do the essay for him. That's so stupid. Like, why would you put someone in that particular situation? And to top it all off, it's not like I was being rude to him. I just didn't want to do his essay for him because A, I'm not going to get in trouble for something that someone didn't do, and B, he has his own tutor. Like, if you're going to constantly brag about having a tutor to do all of your work for you, then why not, in my personal opinion, this is just an idea, why not get the tutor to do your work for you if you're going to do something like that? Now, that doesn't mean that I condone having someone else doing your own work. No, that's really stupid. Like, that's not how you learn. You're supposed to do your own work. But I'm just saying, if you're going to constantly brag about something, and on top of that being rude towards other people for no reason whatsoever, chances are we're not going to like you. So, anyways, me and Kyle finally get to the main office. We sit down because the principal was already, talking with somebody. So, anyways, the principal stops talking, right? He calls both of us into, his office. We sit down, and the principal looks really pissed off because he just heard from my teacher that apparently, there's a chance that I might have plagiarized Kyle's paper, which is obviously a big no-no in school. And, the principal doesn't look pleased. So he first, asked Kyle what happened and, if he has any evidence showing that I did this, which, obviously he didn't. But, what he basically says to the principal is that apparently I plagiarized his entire essay and that I shouldn't be in the class anymore and that how I'm always rude and disrespectful to him, yada, yada, yada. And that last night, apparently I was being rude towards him and I wasn't going to help him out with his essay, which, by the way, like, he was supposed to do by himself, but you know what? Whatever. So then the principal turns to me and is like, is this true? I'm like, obviously no. Last night, he was basically trying to convince me to do his entire essay for him and how, he was being rude towards me and that he blocked me on Twitter, apparently thinking that, because I wasn't going to help him, I was being rude, which makes no sense because I'm in no legal obligation to help somebody if I choose not to. And then Kyle says that that's a complete lie and that I have no proof about this. And keep in mind, he is smiling. He has a smug look smiling at me as he's saying this to me. And he says that I have no proof, right? Well, that's obviously not true. And a little moral to the story right here. If someone is threatening you or being rude to you in any way, shape, or form, make sure you take screenshots on everything that you do. Guess what? I took screenshots of all the messages that Kyle sent to me on Twitter, and I pulled them up on my phone, showed them to the principal, and I'm like, oh, so I have no proof that he was trying to convince me to do my essay? Well, that's not what it says here. And the look on Kyle's face, as soon as I point that out, goes completely white. Like, he did not expect me to have any form of proof that, he was trying to convince me of doing the essay for him, because he thinks that because you block somebody, that means you can't get any proof whatsoever of them doing something wrong. But that's not how the internet works. So anyways, I'm showing the principal all of this, right? He's reading over the messages of me basically saying, no, I don't want to, right? And he's, trying to convince me of doing the essay for him. So then the principal turns back at Kyle and says, is there something that you want to say? And Kyle's like, because at that point he knew that he was caught, right? So the principal tells me to go back to the class because, I didn't do anything wrong. But he turns to Kyle and is like, I want you to sit right here. I'm going to tell your parents what you did, yada, yada, yada. And as soon as Kyle heard this, he got super pissed off at me. And so I turned back at him and I gave him a smug look. I was smiling and I gave him a smug look. And then I went out of the office. Because, no, you're not going to try and get me in trouble for no reason whatsoever. No, freak you. And, I want to make it very clear. I don't want to be, a snitch in any way, shape, or form. Because, constantly snitching on people can make you be a bad person sometimes. I'm not the type of person that wants to do that. But as soon as it comes to a point where you're just being constantly rude to me, plus on top of that, trying to get me in trouble for something that I didn't do, yeah, at that point, I don't care how you feel. I really don't. So anyways, fast forward to the end of the day, class ends, and, me and my friends are walking home, obviously, and I don't see Kyle anywhere, because he would usually walk in the exact same area as us, right? I wasn't able to see him pretty much anywhere. And so I'm thinking, maybe, his parents came and, they picked him up or something, right? But you'd be wrong, because I come to find out the very next day that Kyle had, 2 weeks of in-school suspension, which, to be honest, I think is well-deserved. And I come to find out later on that same day that apparently I wasn't the only person that he was doing this towards. Like, he was constantly telling a bunch of other students, basically bullying them to try and get them to do his own work for him, which was obviously bad. And so, yeah, that was pretty much it. 6 months later, he ended up transferring out of our school and going to a completely different school, like across the state. I'm assuming to, leave and, not have to suffer any amount of embarrassment after that whole situation. Because I'm gonna be honest, like, a bunch of people were making fun of him at that point because, he was constantly doing stuff like this and bragging to a bunch of other students to, do their own work for them. And he was constantly made fun of. So I'm assuming he left because of the amount of embarrassment he was suffering. Which, in all honesty, that kind of seems like a bad idea. But hey, if you're going to be a complete pile of dog garbage, towards a bunch of other people and then bragging about it, yeah, I personally don't care about you at that point. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much the end of the story about how, a spoiled little turd tried to get me in trouble for something that I didn't do and it instantly backfired. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this really funny and ridiculous story time. I know I did. And if you did, please leave a like on the video and possibly subscribe to my channel for more of my dumb content, maybe. Nothing's physically or mentally stopping you from doing so. So, press that subscribe button. I know I would. And if any of you have any crazy stories of people that you've encountered in any way, shape, or form, don't be afraid to put them down in the comments below or send some of them through my business email. I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe I'll make a video based on your story sometime in the future. You never know. And until next time, guys, this is JoJo Kaiser, signing out. Make sure you stay sexy and wear a condom. Peace.